Hi everybody, it's Raina. Trolls go away. I don't want to hear from you anymore, you dummies. Anyway, I just noticed this morning. I know people have pointed it out on Summer's milk jug video, but she does have quite a stain on her jacket. I'm gonna show it. I don't know if you can see it, but it was from Jemima's Crime Time. And one of the stations I subscribe to, I really enjoy. Anyway, it looks like a stain, and there's the milk jugs, and I hope you can see this, but that was just about the spot where I saw her get shot by her father. Because he shot her in the abdomen when I saw, them have the scuffle in the basement. Anyway, so I did have another vision this morning. Apparently, I'm getting bombarded with visions. And I've read some of the really nasty comments from my first videos from people, like I was dropped on my head and stuff like that, which the people I've blocked. And, why do people have to come on your channel and write these things? I mean, why do they feel the need? I mean, whatever. Why would somebody do that? I wouldn't do that to somebody else. But anyway, this was a very the I'm seem to be now I'm in the zone for visions apparently, and this was very, if I start to cry, it's because it was a very emotional vision. I had the one about the I was reading the article about the, I don't know if anybody read my last or saw my last vision about spirit came and told me something that I about wild pigs, that they were becoming very intelligent, and it was something that a vision I'd had related to like 35 years ago. And it showed that animals were becoming more intelligent because it was this process of evolution, that they needed to evolve in order to, or they were going to be extinct, because basically man was kind of obliterating them. So the only way they could survive was for them to become more intelligent. So anyway, that was the wild pig thing. And then Spirit came over me and told me all this. I'm laying there this morning watching, I think, Rocket Science, True Crime Rocket Science, which I enjoy watching. And they had the picture of, little Summer. And, I noticed a spot. And then all of a sudden I saw in my visions, I was just reading, and I suddenly saw a picture of Don, well, on Candace's property. And it was the property where it kind of begins, where the stream runs. And there was like, the trees were kind of like it was a trail next to the stream. And I've only seen like the top part of it in the summertime, and there were trees on both sides, and someone was on a three-wheeler. And at first I thought I was shown this. I mean, I could see it very clearly. Well, I closed my eyes, and I could actually see it before I even closed my eyes. And this is starting to like unnerve me a little bit. All these, like, being bombarded with these visions. Anyway, I knew it was the stream. And there was a man on a three-wheeler going up the trail following the stream, and I knew his destination. There were people behind him, I knew, on three-wheelers and on other vehicles going up that way on the Wells property. And the thing of it was fall. The leaves were brown and dry, and the trees, I could see the trees were practically bare. And the man was wearing a jacket, like a warm jacket. And I thought it was maybe the kids, the boys, but then I thought he they didn't look. It was too big to be a boy, and I don't think they had three wheelers, or they would be allowed to ride up that trail. It was like people had ridden up that trail before next to the stream, but it was not like a normally traveled path. An adult would have to go up there because it would get steep. And I thought, why are they showing me this? Like, and I could see that they went further and further and further, and they were away from the road, but they were still, they hadn't, but that was their destination, to get up to the top of the hill. And I was kind of thinking, why are they showing me fall? Like where all the leaves are brown. I don't know what time of year. I know it was fall. That's what the spirit said. It was fall. I don't know why they were showing me fall because it's still summer. Anyway, and then I saw, this was kind of the emotional part. I saw a meadow, and it was up on the top of the hill, and I could see wildflowers, and they were very high. The grass and the wildflowers, they were little like purple and pink flowers, and they were growing wild. And I saw the edge of the train, the rail car that I saw when I saw the homestead. I don't know if you saw that video, but I saw an edge of it, and some other items were laying around. And I looked at the flowers, and they looked so pretty. And I just looked at the scene, and I was looking around, and I saw things were kind of piled and stacked in the edge of that rail car. And then the next picture I saw was Summer was standing a little further away. She was standing in the middle of the wildflowers, and I couldn't see the rail car anymore, but I saw her. And I realized she was now a ghost. She wasn't, in my vision, she's not a ghost. She's real. Like I can reach out and touch her. In vision, it's different, but now she was a ghost. And the first word that the spirit said was acceptance. And she stood there, and she stood there peacefully, and she just stood in the wildflowers. And I realized she now was at peace. And she just stood quietly, not jumping around or angry, or she was now at peace. And I realized she was a ghost now. And the whole situation had changed. And I could feel her. I felt the spirit on over me, the spirit that was showing me this. And Summer just kept looking at me, and I tried to hold out my hand to hold her hand. I said, just hold my hand. And I looked at my hand, and my hand was open. And I could feel her reach out and hold my hand. But when I opened my eyes again, she was still standing in the same spot, back away from me again. And I realized that she was actually, there would be a time when this would be over, and she would be saying goodbye. And she would be a ghost, and she would be at peace, because this is what she needed. And this is where she was. And I said, do you want to show me where you, and she didn't nod or say anything, but I knew there was no point in her showing me where her remains were, because it was over, and she wasn't there anymore. This wasn't, you know, this wasn't where she was. And but now she was at peace, and she had acceptance, and now she was a ghost, and she could move on. And I got really emotional, and I started to cry. And I'm not going to do it here. And I realized that there would be an end to this, and that her remains would be found in the fall. I believe what I saw was the search teams going up the hill on three-wheelers, following the stream through somebody's tip or whatever they were doing. I don't know whose tip or whatever, but they were going up in the fall. And it was when the leaves were already, I don't know Tennessee's season, when the leaves turn, they were brown and crunchy, but I knew it was fall. So it would be somewhere between the end of September, the beginning of October, to maybe the beginning of December. And it doesn't necessarily mean, I believe Donna Kansas will be arrested before that. But when they do find her body, it will be in the fall. And it will be up where she was at the top of the mountain, where she was standing in the wildflowers. And she was a ghost, and she was at peace, and she was kind of saying goodbye to me. And she had come to acceptance, which was what everybody wanted, what was the goal. And I know she'll be back, to visit me and everything. And that was when I came out of it. I just cried hysterically because you know, but I like I said, I do believe Donna Candace will be arrested before they'll find her. I believe it'll be probably EquiSearch because it was three wheelers and it looked like a professional. I knew there were a lot of men behind the man that was leading the way, in the coat, in the warm coat, and all the leaves, and I could see the trees, and I could even hear the crunch of the leaves. And, so that was what I saw this morning. And I I was comforted by this. And my husband said, "Oh my God, not again, Rhonda." And I was like, "Well, I can't help it. You know, if I'm seeing these things, it's because I can't help it. It's just they're coming in." And it's like I said, it's a burden too. I mean, it takes, and the things, this is another thing. When I saw the things from Donna Serafina, I saw them first in the in my visions, the bubbles from the champagne. If you saw that video, that and for that she was in the video where she's talking about JJ and Tylee, I saw them much earlier than I saw the video which she was talking about champagne bubbles. And also the Noah's Ark. I put the Ark in the Summer's terrarium a long time before I saw the video about the carousel. So I was actually psychically seeing what she had done. So it didn't necessarily have to be her connection, it was mine. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that because that she'll be found in the fall when the leaves are crunchy on the ground. And I don't care if you trolls, I don't do hexes, but you're not worth it. But stay off my pages, and you know, stay off my pages. And I'd like to tell you about Rainbow Bridge if you'd like to listen. Since we're on here, we had when Bobby and I met, we met in 2008, and I moved in here in 2010. My mother died in November of 2009. And we were going together. We were very serious with each other. And after my mother died, my children were already grown and moved out. And his son was already moved out, and his other son had passed from cerebral palsy. So in 2010, February, I moved down here. And Bobby had a dog, Mudley. He was about, I think, 7 years old. It was 2015 that he died. All right. So Mudley died in 2015, and my dog Jet, whom I'd had for 11 years, died in 2017. I had to have him put to sleep because he became vicious, and he tried to kill our other dog, Emma, our other adopted dog, and he was turning wild. He was wolf. He was a half Akita, a mix, and he was becoming very dangerous. Two vets wouldn't even touch him. So he was my baby. He was my dog. He was a one person dog, and the only person he never bit was me. I would have to get between him and whatever he wanted and redirect him. I had to put my knees. He wasn't big. He was 50 pounds, but his jaws were like steel, and he was getting worse and worse and worse, and his options were getting less and less. The tether got tight, shorter and shorter in the yard. We had to put a bigger fence. I couldn't take him for a while. Anyway, so it broke my heart to have to put him down. So, but we agreed, he and I, that it was time, that he wanted to go. And he was 11, and Muttley was 15 when he died. And Muttley died of old age. He died in my lap, in this office here. I cried my eyes out. I've been his mom for uh, uh, quite a while, and I'd known Bobby for I've been his mom for like over 7 years, and I was his mom, his only mom. His Bobby's ex-wife just kind of left and never came back to even visit him. So I was his mom. He was the pack leader, and him and Jet and Emma, and everything was under control with little Colonel Muttley. And my dog was he was under control because Muttley kept a tight ship, and Emma was the baby. We adopted her from South Carolina through Facebook, and she was more demure. And but when Muttley died, everything kind of fell apart between the pack. But anyway, so they died, and then we got we didn't we had Emma, and we didn't get another dog for we got Sammy a couple months later after Jet died. But um, a few months after Jet died, this happened. I was sleeping and I went into a vision, and it was like I suddenly was in a room, and it was a white stucco room, and it had no ceiling, and I could see, like I often do in visions, like the sky is white and it goes on forever. There's a feeling of infinity up there, and it was all white stucco, and even the seating surfaces, and there was a like a doorway, and I couldn't where I was sitting, where I was allowed to sit. There was a doorway. There were no doors. It was just all one piece, and the doorway was so I couldn't really see inside what was going on inside, but I could see other places where you could sit, and I couldn't really see what was behind me. But I knew you had to be. This was Rainbow Bridge. This was where the animals they came. I was in the waiting area, and you had to be invited. Your pet had to invite you here, and I always knew animals went to a good place, because they deserved it. But I never knew there was a place where, like this. So I was just waiting there, and I was looking around, and everything looked comfortable, and there were no sharp corners. Everything was rounded, like in the walls and the floors, and everything was like connected. And like I said, I couldn't see in the partition that went across the doorway. And I sat there, and all of a sudden, Jet ran out of the partition, and he ran out with a pack. There were some wolves. They were like wolf dogs, like he was. Like I called them shadow dogs. They were like shadow wolf dogs, and they were like part shadow, part dog. And I could see their shadows against the wall, and some were behind me. I didn't turn around to look, but I knew they were there. And he ran out, and they were against the wall, and they were like a pack, because Jet was like a wolf pack animal. Like he was more wolf than dog. And he ran out, and it was like he looked slimmer, and he was in motion, like his fur was moving, and like he was standing in front of a propeller, but he wasn't moving. And it was weird, like when you have a blow dryer and your hair is moving, but you're not moving. Like all of his fur was moving. He had black fur, pitch black fur with white spots, like a tux. And he had these big long ears, Akita ears, and the curly tail, and a thick, thick neck. And he came out, and he laid in front of me like he did when he passed. I laid on top of him, I covered his body, and I actually saw his spirit, like gold, go up. And I was hysterical in the doctor's office. I really lost it. I didn't care. But anyway, I wrapped my arms around him, and I felt the warmth of his body. And I said, Jet, I said, I love you so much. And I never apologized, because we had agreed that it was time. We both agreed it was time for him to go, because he was not happy. He was not free. And a few times the other dogs came back in, and they would tell him in their own way that, come on, Jet, come on, let's go back. Let's go back. And I knew through that partition was where they lived, that he had everything he needed. He had woods, he had land. He could run as far as he wanted to do. He could do everything he could that I couldn't give him on earth. Um, and that he was happy, and his friends were waiting for him, his pack. And he said, no, he said, you go. I need to spend time with my mother. And I just held on to him as long as I could, and I told him how much I missed him and loved him. And he told me the same, but he said, I have to go now, Mom. You know, and I said, I love you. And, and it was funny how his fur was moving, like he was a motion dog. And that was the same way he was when he was in Rainbow Bridge, is the personality had not changed. It's just that he had everything he needed now that I couldn't give him. And then he left me. And then that was the end of the vision. And then a few weeks later, I came to the same room, exactly the same room. And I'm doing really good at not crying here. And I came into the room, and waiting for me, as punctual as he was little Colonel Muttley. He was laying on a partition, a stucco partition, like a little sphinx. He looked beautiful. He was 15 when he died, and he was, getting white and, old, but he was luminous. He was a tan, he was a lab Jack Russell mix. And his fur was like luminous. His face was like glowing. His eyes were black. He had button eyes. And he just looked at me, and he was wise. I knew he was an old soul. And he just looked at me, and he just had his little paws wrapped around. I kissed him and hugged him and petted him, and I felt the warmth of his fur, and he looked so young. He was like glowing. And I told him, of course, how much I loved him and missed him. And he didn't really say anything. He just kept looking at me with his eyes, and everything was said by looking at me. And you know, it was very emotional, and um, uh, it was it gave me comfort. And this happened two more times. One with my first cat, who died, I think, God, when I first got married. And then my another cat that was very important to me, she died of cancer, and I always felt guilty because I couldn't do anything for her, but try to feed her and everything. And she died right in my arms. I saw that life go out of her, and I always felt guilty. I couldn't do more for her. And I had already met Bobby, and anyway, she came to me too, and those were four of the most important pets. Not the longest relationships I'd had with our pets. We've had pets all our lives, but those were, you know, very important to me. And I told Bobby, especially about Muttley, said, I would have your vision sometimes. And I said, yes, I believe this is a place you have to be invited by your pet. It was by invite only. And and it was for places for pets who were loved by humans, who were pets. It wasn't for wild animals. It wasn't. And this place, your pet has everything they need. If they need to roam, if they need to sit, if they need to plant themselves in the garden, whatever they need. Like Jed had now fields and streams and forests, and Muttley had a place to nest and order other animals around and do what Muttley did best, be a little colonel. And the cats had plenty of place to roam, and everyone was young and healthy. The dogs looked beautiful, the cats looked beautiful. They were healthy and beautiful. And I knew this was for where you could visit your pet that was loved by a human or humans. And it is a real place. So don't worry. Your pet goes to this place called whatever you want to call it. I call it Rainbow Bridge. And that's the only experience. It lasted, I think all the four pets went about over 6 months. And we adopted another dog, Sammy, from the shelter. And he was supposed to have bone cancer. And we wanted the saddest dog in the shelter. And we also wanted a pit bull because they're also, he's 6 now. And he had all these problems. They kept sending him out. He had cysts, a cyst that kept refilling. They said bone cancer, spongy bone mass. You know, if you, and when he dies, we'll get you another dog. And this was the SPA. And we said, no, we want him. He was the only one that wasn't jumping up all over the place. And he had his little nose to the ground when we found him in the kennel. And Bobby said, Rhonda, we found our dog. We could only get a male because our female went ballistic, Emma, when she was introduced to another female. She was normally very benign. But anyway, so we have our little Sammy. He's like a pit bull, but he's like, pit bulls are wonderful. I love pit bulls. There was no bone cancer. Whatever bone cancer there was, and there was spongy bone mass, they had pages and pages of medical records. They said, we'll give you a new dog, when this one dies. And we said, we don't want another dog. Give us our dog. We paid for everything. He's not going to die. I just knew. Every time they said die, a block went up in front of my face, like my mind. A block. I knew he was going to be okay. He just needed to go home. And I don't know what they did. Said they had evidence. And I did some healings on him, which I do. And he's fine. He's fine. He was 47 pounds at 2. At 6, he's 115 pounds of hunk of burning love, And so anyway, I was so fortunate and blessed to have gone to Rainbow Bridge because Muttley and Jet were a team, and it was just such a wonderful place. It was just like heaven. It was heaven for dogs and cats and companion animals, and I want to assure you that that's where the animals go that are loved by humans. And if you want to maybe meditate and ask to be invited to visit your pet, you could do that. Um, I know it's by invite, so this never happened to me before. So that's an option there, and I just want to share that with you. And so, uh, our little pets are getting what they need. They're getting what they want. They're happy. I'm sure wild animals go to a different place, but this is for people who have loved animals and animals who love their humans. And anyway, so with Summer, what I saw was she will be at peace. I saw her that she was saying goodbye to me. Not now, but she will be saying goodbye to me. She will be a ghost at some point. She will not be in my visions anymore as an angry little spirit, because in my visions she's solid. Visions are solid, like you can reach out, touch. She was ghost. I knew that, and I knew she had passed that point. She was acceptance. It was acceptance and peace. And so I knew something must have happened, that she had passed this point. Now she could move on. And I was sad, but I was happy for her at the same time. We touched hands, and also her body will be found by the searchers when the leaves are brown and off the trees in the autumn. And that's all I have to say. So I love you, and trolls, stay away. Stay away. No trolling here, because this is a true channel, and only those that believe are invited. Not you, or a troll. Something might follow you out of here. Anyway, so I hope you all have a nice Labor Day, and we're just hanging out. My husband's doing the yard and everything like that, and hopefully I won't have any more visions today. I'm kind of worn out. So I have visions of winning lottery numbers. That would be nice. I had the weirdest visions last night. I haven't figured them out yet, but I don't really want to even think about it because it's really weird. So anyway, so I'll talk to you soon. I love you, and have a great day, and take care and stay safe. Okay, bye-bye.